Just Like Your Father by Jacqueline Kuykendall. Lights up on center stage. There's a casket with flowers around it. A picture of Juliet's father is in front of the casket. Juliet's grandmother is already on stage with the Reverend. They speak quietly near the casket. The Reverend seems to be comforting the grandmother. Then Juliet enters. She hesitates at first, then walks confidently over to her grandmother with her head held high. The grandmother looks up as Juliet approaches.
Oh, Juliet, I'm so glad you decided to come.
The grandmother embraces Juliet.
I know your father would be happy that you showed up.
Would he? I doubt he would even notice.
Juliet, don't speak that way about your father. You know he loved you.
Juliet laughed sharply at this and would have said something, but her grandmother cut her off.
He loved you. Every father loves their daughter. You just never gave him a chance to prove it. He tried, you know. He called and you... No, I'm not going to argue about this now. Here, Juliet, I would like you to meet the Reverend. He's an old family friend.
It's a pleasure to finally meet you. Your father was always talking about you. He said such wonderful things. Looks like they were all true.
What's that supposed to mean?
I just mean that you are the spitting image of him. Doesn't she just look like him? She's got those same eyes and the exact same hair color, too. Wow. Spitting image.
Yes, well, she is her father's daughter. Aren't you?
No, actually I'm not at all.
Then there is a silence. The Reverend and Juliet's grandmother look at each other for a moment.
Why don't I give you two a moment to talk?
The Reverend moves away.
Juliet, why must you make a scene? We're at your father's funeral. Couldn't you at least say a nice few words?
I would, if there were anything nice to say about him.
Well, you're going to have to find something to say, because the Reverend and I decided it would be best if you did between you.
What? Why do you think that that would be a good idea? What could I possibly have to say about someone I didn't even know?
Please, I'm begging you. Please just go up there and say a nice few words about him. Just a few words, and that's all. It would mean so much to me and to your father.
Now she starts to cry. Juliet automatically feels guilty and begins to cave.
Oh, Grandma, don't start. Fine, I'll do it. How long do I have?
Actually, I was hoping you could do it right now.
Now? You couldn't give me a 5-minute warning?
No, because then you could have come up with a good excuse of why you didn't have to. Thank you, this means so much to me.
The Reverend walks over.
Have you decided?
Yeah, I'll do the speech. Going to do what I'm going to say, though.
The Reverend faces the audience and begins the service, then says that Juliet would like to say a few words about Charles. Her grandma and the Reverend take their seats.
Hello, everyone. Thanks for coming, I suppose. For those of you who don't know me, I guess you all know of me. My name's Juliet. Charles here was my father. I don't have anything prepared. My grandmother just asked me if I would say a few words. I don't have very many memories of Charles. He walked out of my life when I was 5 and didn't look back. Well, I guess that isn't entirely true. He called me a couple of years ago on my birthday. He said something about being in town and wanting to get together. I hung up, and I don't regret it, even now. Honestly, I don't care about him being dead. It doesn't make a difference to me either way. He was never really a part of my life. He never even tried to be. The only reason I'm here is because my grandmother asked me to be.
Juliet now pauses, remembering that her grandmother is listening.
Anyways, I know this isn't the speech Grandma had in mind when she asked me to give it. You all want to hear about how wonderful Charles was.
Juliet bows her head, in thought, trying to think of what she could say. She is still for a long time, and after a while, her grandmother starts to stand. She is visibly upset, and is about to tell Juliet to sit down when Juliet looks up.
The week before he left, he was exceptionally nice. To me, at least. One day, he was driving me to school, and he stopped suddenly with a puzzled look on his face. He pulled over and turned to me and said, "Has anyone ever taught you how to throw a baseball?" Then he made a U-turn and drove to nearest park. Forget school, you need to learn how to throw a baseball. He knew he was going to leave long before he actually did. And I've always wondered why, if he wanted to leave everything behind, why did he make such an effort to make me remember him as someone who cared about him. If he didn't care enough to stay, why did he act like he cared? He said time and time again that he loved me. If he loved me, then why didn't he stay? But now, I can't ask him because he's dead. I've wandered for so long, and now that I finally have the courage to ask, I can't.
Juliet turns to face the coffin.
And all of you say I look just like him. I can hardly even remember what he looks like.
Juliet quickly goes to the casket as she picks the picture of him.
Me and him, we look so much alike, don't we? Same eyes, same hair, that's all he ever gave me, his DNA. What else has he ever given me? A couple of baseball lessons didn't get me anywhere. It didn't get me to college. It didn't get me a meal when I was hungry. All he did was leave me one more useless memory that I didn't even want in the first place.
Juliet becomes frantic and starts to have a panic attack. Juliet's grandmother stands, running to Juliet's side as she falls to the floor. She shouts Juliet's name a few times, but she doesn't wake. The lighting fades to blue. Juliet lays center stage. As Martha and the set move backwards, a man walks on stage from the opposite direction. This man is not a ghost, but Juliet's dream of her father. This is what she wishes her father was. Charles moves across the stage until he reaches his daughter. He kneels down next to her and touches her shoulder. At his touch, she awakens. Charles helps her to her feet. Music begins to play in the background. Once Juliet is on her feet, she and Charles begin to waltz around the room in a very dreamy way. Eventually, the music ends. The two stop moving, and after a moment, Juliet steps back to look at her father.
You're not like what I thought you
No one ever is.
were. I don't know what to say to you. What do you say to someone who abandoned you?
Hello?
Hello isn't enough. After all these years, it just isn't enough. I used to think you would come back, but every night I would stare out my window and I wouldn't see you coming up the driveway. I wanted so badly to see you coming up that driveway, but you never did.
You know what? You're just like me. You never give up.
What do you mean? You did give up. You gave up and you walked out. And I gave up on you. I stopped looking out that window. I stopped wanting you to come up that driveway. I stopped wanting you to come home. I gave up on you because you gave up on me. And that's the end of the story. There is no happy ending. This ends with me going home to an empty house and you going back to the grave where you belong.
Look, maybe this isn't as bad as you think.
Maybe? There is no maybe. You'll never come back. I'll never have the chance to tell you that I love you and forgive you. And that I'm sorry for making you go, because I know it's my fault. It has to be my fault. I don't know what I did, but I'm sorry. And I wish you could come back, but you're dead. I wish you were there to play catch with me like you did that one time. Do you remember that? That was the happiest moment of my entire life, Daddy. It was just me and you playing catch in the middle of the day. And there were no other kids around because they all were at school. Then we got home and Mom yelled at us because she got a call from the school. And you got mad and you two started yelling. And then a few days later, you left. You didn't say goodbye. You just disappeared. And I cried, Daddy. I cried and cried until I ran out of tears. And I screamed for you until my voice was gone. And Mommy didn't do anything. She just sat and waited for you to come home just like I did. But Daddy, I ran out of tears eventually, and I never cried again. Not over you, at least. I'm not going to cry anymore. I miss you. I want you to know that. And I love you. And goodbye.
Goodbye. I love you.
Charles kisses Juliet on the forehead, then turns and walked off the way he came. As he walks off, Juliet gets back on the floor, as she was when she fainted. As he walks off stage, the set slowly moves back into place. The grandmother assumes her position over Juliet. The lights go back to how they were before Juliet fainted. As they do, Grandma begins yelling Juliet's name again. After the second yell, Juliet begins to wake.
Oh, Juliet, are you all right?
Yes, I'm fine. Here, help me up.
All right.
The Reverend helps her to her feet.
You gave us quite a scare there.
Juliet laughs gently.
Because that's the last thing you need at a funeral, is a scare like that.
Well, she has a sense of humor, just like your father.
Juliet, why don't we get someone to take you home?
Actually, I want to start the eulogy over.
Oh, I do not think that's a very good idea.
No, please, let me do it.
Her grandmother and the Reverend share a glance. The Reverend shrugs.
Well, if you insist, but please.
Yes. I know.
Juliet walks to the podium. Her grandmother and the Reverend take their seats in the audience table. Juliet composes herself for a moment and then begins.
Hello, everyone. Thank you again for coming. My name is Juliet Reynolds, and Charles Reynolds was my father.
The lights go down.